I know
Okay.
I heard his voice, I think. It was like yesterday.
Order. Roll call.
Mayor Parsons?
Present.
Vice Mayor Vasquez? Here. Commissioner Laura?
Here.
Commissioner Warren?
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. You all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Invocation.
Nobody here today.
Ron, you want to?
Yeah, I'll catch my breath. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us so that we can meet here and conduct the city's business. And we just ask that you give us the wisdom to make the right decisions for our community. And we thank you for all the staff that you have given us and the citizens of this community. And we thank you for the beautiful weather. And we do this in your name. Amen.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, item number 1, awards, proclamations, and presentations. 1A would be Southwest Miracles wheelchair donation.
Good evening, Commissioners. My wife and I, we're part of Southwest Miracles, and first thing we'd like to thank you for your city grant program that you guys have and offer for us. We truly appreciate that. That helped us with a lot of people. And the second thing that really dear to us is the Bus Barn project. So we would like to donate a wheelchair for your bus barn, and it come to find out after talking that they're going to do some trainings with wheelchairs, so that turned out to be an awesome thing. So we would like to donate that, and if there's anything else that we could do, please let us know.
Great.
Is there any questions from us?
No? Thank you guys
Short
very
and
much.
sweet.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry we didn't bring one, but
You already have it.
they already have it. They already had their training, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Hey, item B is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month proclamation. So, excuse me?
On the back, copy of it.
Okay. Okay, I'll read this real quick.
Okay.
Whereas the month of March 2026 has been designated as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in order to celebrate and recognize people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And whereas disability is a natural part of the human experience and in no way diminishes the right of people with disabilities to be equally involved and respected in all aspects of life, to make choices, contribute to society, and experience in full the many blessings of American society. And whereas family members, friends, and the community at large play a role in supporting people with disabilities as they pursue their dreams, and whereas the goals of this city properly include helping people with disabilities realize full access to housing, employment, and the recreational activities in which they choose to help them lead fulfilling and meaningful lives on their own terms. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Parsons, Mayor of the City of Liberal, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the City of Liberal, and I call upon the citizens of Liberal to observe the month with appropriate programs and activities. Furthermore, I encourage the citizens of Liberal to seek information from those organizations like Mosaic with experience on how they can support and include people with disabilities. In testimony whereof I've set my hand and confirmed this proclamation with the Great Seal of the City of Liberal, the Mayor's Office, the 24th day of September, 2026.
So I'm Vicki Harshbarger with Mosaic, and this is Elena. This is Michaela. They came along to help get pictures today. And then also just a little note here from us that Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month during March is an educational effort that amplifies the importance of welcoming people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and other diverse needs in all aspects of community life. And that's why belonging matters. Mosaic supports people to direct their own lives in making choices that reflect their personal goals and aspirations so that they can fully participate in our community the way they choose. That's why Mosaic depends on current and seeking potential community partners such as businesses, churches, charities, civic organizations, and others to employ the people we serve, involve them in worship, offer volunteer and group recreational opportunities for them, and more. These partnerships do and will make a real positive impact on the people's lives we support and the community as a whole. Social welcoming of diverse people creates a harmonious, vibrant society where everyone's participation and contribution matters and is respected. Thank you, Mayor, for proclaiming March as National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month that puts a spotlight on the wonderful group of people that we are called to love and serve.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, item number 2, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 3, minutes. Item A would be the February 10th, 26 work session minutes. You want to just do these all? Can we do them all at once? We have to do them separately. Counselor?
You can do them all together since they're all under the one section.
Okay, all right, so it would be the February 10th, 2026 work session, February 10th, 2026 regular meeting, and the February 13th, 26 special meeting.
Move we approve the minutes as presented?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 4, items from citizens. Any citizens like to speak to the commission? Okay, seeing none. Items from groups. Item number 5. Any groups? All right. Item number 6, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, item number 7, ordinance number 4643, the 2026 fireworks modification.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, the ordinance before you is the same one we discussed back on February 10th during the work session. The only difference between the one before you and the one that was presented the 10th was I did add the recommended verbiage within 7-711 that says the informational pamphlets will be provided by the city and available at the city. Other than that, it is the standard of everything we talked about during that work session. So, within your packets, there is still a red line copy showing all of the changes, and then there is a clean copy showing the final, product. I'm available for any questions, discussion.
I had mentioned during that meeting, just a concern that I still had regarding the variable day, depending on what day of the week the 4th fell, on what 3 or 2 days we would offer the public. Is anyone interested in reviewing that as well, to maybe try and set up something solid where it's either the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, or the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th? And that way there is no more variable to it.
I just think it does need to be the same, because if we have it fluctuating every single year, I personally feel like there's gonna be more people who don't follow the rules just because they're already confused as it is, versus if we set the expectation that it's the same date, same time every single year, then I feel like people will kind of catch on the dates, versus if it's changing every year, kind of hard to keep up.
And I agree with that. I think it just eliminates confusion. If everybody knows that it's gonna be, my preference would be the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th, because we don't celebrate the 5th of July, that, everybody will know, when those dates are every year. We don't have to make changes. It doesn't vary. I don't want to.
I did have someone reach out to me, so I do need to at least bring their concern forward. These are from the people who sell them. They mentioned that they liked the 5th because they're working the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. And so the 5th was when they get to pop fireworks. But it is also a small group of people that would be affected there. So it really depends on what you guys kind of feel is a better set. But I did need to make that heard.
I don't know that it makes any difference, because every year they're gonna be on a different day of the week. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with third, fourth, and fifth. I have a son with the birthday on the fifth, so he'd think we were still celebrating his birthday, maybe. But I'll go with whatever you guys decide. 3 days sounds good, though. Second, third, or fourth, third, fourth, or fifth is, that way it's in stone.
Okay.
And see, I kind of like the second, third, and fourth, just because people are so anxious to get their fireworks. That I
It's
feel
just
like
cleaner.
the chances of them popping them the second versus the fifth, I feel like are gonna be higher, but that's just what I've heard.
Especially as we're changing it to where they can only sell starting on the first.
Yeah. I doubt they're gonna wait 3 full days to pop them.
So within the current ordinance, it is actually just 2 days. Last year it was 2 days, it was the third and the fourth. Or there is the stipulation that if the fourth falls on a Friday, it moves to the fourth and the fifth.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what we want amended. Yeah.
Okay.
So then I'm okay with the second, the third, and the fourth. And then it just ends on the holiday.
Yeah,
That's fair?
they're gonna start popping them before the second anyway, right, Kelly?
And on the fifth again, but
Do you guys wanna, if you guys go with the second, third, and fourth, do you wanna back off the 4th of July sale date time to 10 o'clock instead of midnight? Because
Well, yeah, that's
you
true.
need to be selling at midnight at 11:59 if you can only allow it for 1 minute. Just a thought.
That's a good thought.
Bring that back down to the 10th with the rest? Or 10 PM?
And obviously, you guys have some time on this, so instead of, if that's the consensus of how we want to modify it, let Keith do the revisions, and then make sure that it's clear and concise for the next time, and you guys can vote to approve it at the next meeting, would be my suggestion. So we're looking at the second, third, and fourth. Second and third from 8 AM to 11 PM, the fourth from 8 AM to midnight, would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and then for the sale of fireworks, the first through the third from 8 AM to 10 PM, and then the fourth, just have the same times from 8 AM to 10 PM?
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, that'd work for me.
Do you have that, Keith?
Thoughts, Kelly?
So modify the discharge days and modify the sale days just to pull it back on that fourth to, so it's not going, people can't be buying
Buying 'em for
fireworks
next
10
year.
minutes before it's quitting time.
So I just scratch off number 2 and change July 3rd to July 4th.
Okay, I have notes down. So is this like getting tabled or
Let's
just,
just take no action and put on the next meeting agenda. I would. If we had to do it now, because it was gonna be July next week, next month, then we could take action, but might as well have it drafted correctly the first time.
Yes, sir.
For the approval.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need to just make sure you get it on the agenda for next week.
Okay, item number 8, Air Products Letter of Intent.
Okay, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this might be my third go-around on this front. Hopefully, third time's the charm, right? So as you recall, the City of Liberal has been working with the Air Products Helium team for 2 years regarding the purchase of land in our airport industrial park. In July 2025, we presented a letter of intent for a parcel near our Air Museum and Airport Taxiway. Upon confirmation from the FAA, that specific piece of land could not be sold due to the proximity to the taxiway. So we went back to the drawing board, we reviewed available lots, and we did identify Block 2, Lot 6, with a specific parcel number, about 3.77 acres, that was a viable location for their storage needs. To answer the usual questions, we have done a survey and appraisal. All of that has been completed, and we are awaiting submission from the FAA and approval from them. Air Products is aware that the FAA prefers long-term leasing agreements over land sales. They think that creates sustainability for the airport financially. So it is possible that we may have to move in that direction. Brian is here in case there are any additional questions. This LOI is basically a formality to secure that space. They just want to make sure that we don't sell it to anybody else, and obviously, we know that we will not be doing that. It hasn't even been leased prior to this date.
I'm assuming that
Lynn has reviewed
Lynn
it.
has reviewed that,
Yeah,
right?
we had a similar LOI previously, but I was very actively involved in the drafting of that, and then this one pretty much duplicates that language except for a few changes which aren't of substance to the changes, so.
Okay.
And it doesn't lock the city in, it doesn't lock them in, it just says this is what we're gonna do for the time being, and if everything goes through like it's supposed to with the FAA releasing it, and with them ultimately coming to fruition on their end, that the city's gonna abide by going ahead and selling it to them.
They have been very patient with us and stayed with us through the whole process.
In our defense, not really our fault.
Correct. Correct. The goalpost has been moved several times on this subject matter, and
Yes.
we are just pivoting as it comes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the letter of intent from the Air Products helium team.
Second.
I'm gonna give that one to Jeanette. There you go. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 9, municipal HTO proposal and contract. Jose?
Mayor, Commissioners, Jose with the Water Department. Last May, we had an audit by the EPA. And then last month, we got a letter that we were in non-compliance with our risk and resiliency and the emergency response plan. So we found a company that can update both of our issues. Like we've been revising it since 2004, so we haven't really done nothing since 2004. Every time that KDHE comes and does our sanitary survey, we just put another date on the front paper of it. So with this company that we found, they'll do both of our plans, bring them up to date, then they'll put it back in compliance with EPA. This plan that they're trying to do lasts 5 years. So in 5 years, if the EPA doesn't add nothing to it, we just do a revision on it. If they start adding a bunch of other stuff, then we'll probably look into doing another update on it. Like I said, we found municipal H2O that could do it for us, and you can see on your papers, it's on a 3 payment section on it. It breaks down in 3. It's $3,100 due upon signing, $62 upon the completion of the risk and resiliency, and then $62 after the emergency response plan is done. So we recommend going with municipal H2O for an amount not to exceed $16,000. Any questions?
I'm assuming there's not a lot of companies out there doing this.
No,
kind of
that's the only one I
compliance
could
work.
find that can do it for us.
Yeah.
And like I said, that would bring us up to compliance with the EPA.
Just a little side note, the EPA hasn't been here since, for 15 years,
Yeah.
and then they just all of a sudden show up one day, so.
Yeah, last year they hit Kansas, so it was us and like 4 other cities that got visited by the EPA.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal from Municipal H2O to update our ERP and RRA in the amount not to exceed $15,500 to be funded from the other professional services line item within Water Utility Administration.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion or questions for Jose? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you. Item number 10, municipal court building replacement and removal of existing HVAC unit.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. I'm Kim Klinkenbeard with the Municipal Court, and I'm here tonight to request that we replace the HVAC unit on the Municipal Court building. This unit does regulate the courtroom, the temperature in the courtroom. And in your packet, you can probably see that there are 3 vendor quotes that we did receive. And The first one's with HECO for $13,000. The second one's with Weber Refrigeration at $13,500. And the third one is with Lynn's Total Comfort for $14,140. We will pay these costs from our building and repair and maintain our building line item. And this has been approved through the budget as well. So if we do decide to move forward with this. Now, if anyone has any questions, I do have Juan here, Building Maintenance Director. So he is the guy I always call when the courtroom's hot. And I'm the person that's trying to keep the public and the staff cool and happy. So, but does anyone have any questions for Juan as to why I'm requesting the new HVAC unit for our building?
Did you mention how old the other one was? Do we know how long?
You know, I went and I pulled the old information, and it looks like it was back in 2017. So,
Do we know what brand the unit is? I didn't,
does it say it on the?
I don't see it on there.
I'm
Do
not
you know,
seeing
Juan?
that either. Juan, do you know what it was?
You know what they sell?
I don't see the name on it. Do you?
No, they just put 5 ton. They didn't put what it is.
Probably.
Usually they use Bryant.
Huh?
Bryant is the one
They
that
use
Bryant?
Bryant
Yeah,
as well.
Bryant uses, Eco uses Bryant.
Train or carrier?
One of them
There we
three.
go.
Okay. I just wondered if it was one of them three. Kinda.
Yeah, usually Eco
But we
goes
don't-
with Bryant. Yeah.
And we have used HECO in the past, and I've
Yeah.
had to make numerous calls to Juan a lot. And so, he usually calls HECO, and HECO's usually really good about coming out, and they're really usually very quick.
Yes.
And Juan gets right on top of it, and so,
So is there something major that's wrong? Because, I mean, 9 years doesn't seem like an excessively old unit.
Yeah, last year we had to do different services on it. Even because even the Stars used the R22, which is no longer available, so they had to retrofit it to use a different gas. But like I said, that, and then it looks like the heating system is going pretty bad as well too. So we just had constant repairs on it. So we're hoping to make it throughout the whole last year, and I suggested that they probably budgeted for this year to replace it. So
Does this replace the heating unit as well?
yes, it's a combo unit.
Okay.
Combo unit. Yes.
Did they go R22? And I don't know if you guys will know this one. The last time because of the heating unit?
I think it's just the that's the unit they used. The R22 was what it used, and I think they retrofitted with the 485. I think it was. So
Right.
like I said, the R22 is not used no more. And I mean they're changing constantly. They're always using different.
Yeah,
some of
they've
them use
changed it even
propane
from the
and, so
408.
yeah, it just kind of goes as it goes. So, but like I said, but it was just something that we felt like it should have been replaced just to avoid more cost on repairs and stuff.
What is the warranty on theirs? 2 year. Okay.
Yes.
Labor, parts, compression.
I noticed they didn't put what SEER the compressor was either, did they? I don't think you can actually sell anything below like 13 or 14 anymore anyway.
No, yeah, it's pretty much all. And they would actually save them, when we had them replace it, they store the R22, so if we need it for a different unit, other place in the city, we can still use it, but once it's gone, it's done.
Yeah.
And we try to get these guys to give us the brand, the series, the
Yeah.
time.
This is what you get, huh?
This is what we end up with.
We're not supposed to ask, right?
I mean, you wanna make sure you're comparing apples to apples. with
Yeah,
these bids.
well, if there is a difference.
Yeah, and I notice one bid a 4-ton unit, one bid a 5-ton unit.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard.
And one didn't even mention what kind of unit.
yeah.
Any other questions for Juan or for Kim?
Was it hot in there today, or?
I actually wasn't in the courtroom today,
okay.
so, but if it is, I guarantee you I will be calling this man right here, who is he's a gem, so he's wonderful. He has helped me out with this so much, so I appreciate him very much. But if there aren't any questions, I would request that that you consider to approve the quote from HECO in the amount of $13,000. Like I said, they previously worked on our existing unit, and they have been very dependable and very reliable.
I'll make a motion to do that, to approve the quote from HECO in the amount of $13,000. Do we need to say where that's coming from?
Municipal Court General
Just
Fund budget.
municipal court general, or, no? Okay.
Second.
I'll be abstaining as my brother-in-law owns one of them.
Okay. Here we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All those approved, favor of?
All right.
Motion passes 3-0 with one abstention.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 11, railroad overpass bid, project planning consultant.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, we are extremely happy to be at this phase of this project. So what I have today is the first of 3 bid phases for the overpass development project. So we did put out bids for service for technical assessments, public engagement, and the project planning services, a packet that we'll have to submit to the FRA for approval. That will be required for our railroad crossing elimination grant. So we did put this out. We received a couple of different profiles. The budgeted cost per our grant agreement for the services was $416,320. The crossing elimination grant reimburses 80% of that. We have another about 15% that's coming from the state of Kansas. And then really our all-in max on it is just over $20,000. We did receive 2 bids. In your packet, the first one is from Professional Engineering Consultants. Page 67 of that larger packet kind of shows the breakdown of the different project approach to the different phases and the costs associated to that. They came in at a total bid of $400,000, which gives us some wiggle room. We also got a bid from JEO Consulting Group in the amount of $470,400. And so we're recommending PEC not just because they are the lower bid, but they are extremely familiar with our project. They have a lot of professional experience in this type of grant project federal environment. But they've been with us really since the very beginning. They came up with those initial concept plans. They referred us to the grant opportunity. They helped us with that grant application. And so we are very thankful that they've stuck with us and put in a bid for this. And so with that, what we're looking for is recommendation for approval for the mayor and city manager to negotiate and enter into contract terms pending legal counsel's review with PEC for the completion of planning tasks in an amount not to exceed $410,000. That would be funded from the capital improvement portion of the 1 cent sales tax. And then we would receive our matching reimbursement funds from our federal grant and the state of Kansas. And so that does give us a little bit of buffer just in case we have addendums as we go through the negotiation process and kind of look at the final cost for everything. So again, that's what we have for you. I do have from PEC, Robert Miller and Alexis Starr. I'll allow them to introduce themselves. If you have any questions for them about what services they'll be providing, we're glad to answer that.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. My name is Alexis Starr with PEC. I've been with the company for about a year. I'm a remote engineer out of Beaver, Oklahoma, so I am what is called the local liaison. I'm on our municipal water and wastewater team, and I'm going to pass it off to Robert, the transportation engineer.
Your Honor, members of the commission, thank you very much. We are excited to continue our relationship as PEC with City of Liberal. There's a lot of work that's been gone into this project. It's been a long time coming. And as project manager new to PEC, I am very excited to start working with the City of Liberal. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on the proposal.
Long says we're excited to get started too.
Yeah. What kind of a time frame are we looking at, Keely?
So for this phase, public engagement is going to be one of those that kind of drags on for a while. But with the planning package and the assessments, we're looking to have all of that pretty much wrapped up around September timeframe.
Okay,
They also, I should mention also, our next phase of this project is going to be environmental assessments. And PEC has connected with Anchor QEA, who actually helped us with our grant application as well in terms of kind of the timing, phasing, and cost estimation. But they would be assisting them in this early on planning process so that we're able to gear up and get ready for and receive a bid for that second phase, which is the environmental assessments. So they've brought on experts from the beginning. I don't know if you want to talk more about Anchor or 360 Rail.
360 Rail has been around for quite a while. They had 20 years experience at another firm. And so this is what they do, is working with Union Pacific and the railroad. So they're very versed, very experienced in all the nuances that requires for a project of this size, working with the railroad, which can be interesting at times. Anchor QEA is well positioned to do, they are very experienced in environmental documents, especially with federal. And they have a key person on our team who actually worked at the Federal Railroad Administration, reviewing project planning packages. And so not only do we have somebody who's familiar with this process is new, it's only been around for about since 24, 25. The principles are the same for an environmental document moving through that's federally funded, but to have somebody who's actually done the work, actually reviewing those packages for FRA and knows what to involve, we expect a very seamless process, and with those coordination and with those experience, we're excited to move this project forward as quick as we can.
Mm-hmm. So they'll be helping in the assessments and some of the other components of it through the fall. Public engagement will continue forward. We'll eventually, through this initial phase, be able to come up with our preferred alternative, which site location we're actually going to use. So a lot of public engagement is involved in that. That is all in the packet in terms of the work that they'll be doing there. In terms of the actual project, once we get through this portion and we kind of gear up with some of the environmentals, we're aiming to have both those sections done by the end of this year. And then all of 2027 is set aside in the schedule for engineering, that preliminary engineering. So we're still looking at end of 2027 before we're done with this part of the grant and can start applying for those construction final design funds.
As noted, as Keely mentioned, we're already excited and working on that environmental proposal for the environmental assessments as well too, with our same team. So that seamless process, the framework that we can do, the initial assessments, we can just take that all the way through to finish the NEPA document. If successful, of course.
Will this allow this to shift a lot more of that heavy lifting to them? As a city, we're not trying to figure that.
We do not have anyone qualified to do the work that is in these technical assessments. We've taken on every bit of work we can on this, but these are things that we really do need people who have this as a full-time job to do. So it's more than just counting cars. There's quite a bit in there, so.
Having done grants myself and reviewed countless grants, this is an exceptional grant that was put forward by your staff. I was very impressed. There's a lot of work that went into it by the team.
Any other questions, discussion?
I'll make a motion that we approve for the mayor and the city manager to negotiate and enter into contract terms pending legal counsel review with professional engineering consultants for the completion of RCE project planning task in amount not to exceed $410,000. Project funding will come from the capital improvements portion of the 1 cent sales tax with matching reimbursement grant funds from the Federal Railroad Administration and State of Kansas. I think the same thing Keely said.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming out. We're excited to work with you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 12, Dole Addition change order.
So Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, as I foreshadowed at the last meeting, it has been determined that an additional detention pond on the west end of Larry Street is needed for the Dole Housing addition. This will be the second change order for this project. It is attached in your packet. It totals $38,705.14. This is for excavation, curb inlets and pipes, pond seeding, and 200 tons of AB2 aggregate base. Again, these improvements will be funded from the Streets Drainage and Capital Improvements portion of the 1 cent sales tax. It brings the entire project total to $1,612,299.66, and these expenses are recoupable through the RHID.
Questions? Maybe a quick explanation, Ron.
Okay, so, talking to Gerald, and I haven't seen him, but I'm assuming that he's telling me, right, that there was an assumption that the drawings that existed showed the end of, the west end of Larry Street, where there's two houses and one on the corner, drained to the west on the plans. But when I was laying out the curve and started shooting grade, I found that it drains to the east. And how that happened, I have no idea, but basically, there really was another choice. It couldn't have continued to the east anyway. And we wasn't gonna tear out 200 and some foot of street, so it could have been caught earlier probably, but basically, there was another pond had to be put in and the curb inlets to drain where those two streets come together. And that probably maybe makes the school a little happier anyway, because that second half of Larry would have drained into
Back to
the
west.
pond. Now it doesn't, it's got its own pond, so. But I will abstain since this is my project.
Right.
And are
Yes,
these
I
all still gonna be small, the smaller ponds?
Yeah, there's 4 smaller ponds now, yeah.
Okay.
None of them are deep. Most of us can stand in them and still see out.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay,
Go ahead and make a motion to recommend the approval of change order number 2 for the Dole Housing Edition in the amount of $38,705.14 to be paid from the Streets, Drainage, and Capital Improvements portion of the 1 cent sales tax.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor? Motion passes 3-0 with 1 abstention. Okay, item number 13, the Riddell Group MOU.
Okay, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, tonight I'm presenting yet another item that we've tossed around for a while. It's kind of exciting to get to this point. So, quick review. On October 28, 2025, the City Commission heard a presentation by Dean Tates in person. He did visit us. He is the owner and manager of GVW Riddell Management LLC. As a review, Riddell Group is a privately held real estate investment group headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. They acquire and develop industrial properties that are strategically positioned for increased value and ripe for transformation. They create site plans to maximize use and construct initial buildings. We convey the land to them at a zero-cost basis, and the payback for us is job creation and improvement in valuation. In order to move forward with the MOU, we have a couple of areas that we need to discuss, and we did have Lynn review this. It is not legally binding until we have a definitive agreement signed, so there really isn't a high risk involved in this. It's just a formality to show our commitment to this type of a project. A couple of the areas that are highlighted in yellow on the MOU that we need to address are the exact property and acreage to convey to the developer, some time frame situations, and the square footage of the initial building. I know that we discussed, and Brian helped me with this earlier, 15 acres around the East Industrial area. We also know that KDOT would need to approve roads into the property and such, so there is a lot to this. Keith and I discussed it briefly earlier as well. But the MOU just basically is formal agreement for our commitment to this project and shows that we are willing to move forward on it. Did you want to add anything on that?
Going to, I was trying to pull
Okay.
my email.
Okay.
Not rephrase the way when I made my statements to the council. Yeah, just in general, the MOU can be terminated by either party at any time, by just providing written notice. Doesn't obligate the city to anything until there's actually a definitive agreement, which was what Scarlett referenced earlier. So really, there's really no downside to this at this point in time. It's just, again, saying, hey, we're willing to try to work with you guys to make this happen. But if it doesn't, then nobody incurs any kind of a detriment to them. Like Scarlett mentioned, there's a 15-acre tract that we're looking at. I talked to Brian earlier today on that tract specifically, and potential maybe issues that we're worried about with the title on it. So came to a consensus that we're gonna try to get a title opinion on it just to make sure how the title's vested in the city or not, before we fill that portion out. So we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. We don't wanna try to get KDOT to agree to give us an access off the highway and burn that bridge and then realize we can't use this property. So we wanna try to get our ducks on the road. But this at least allows us to operate in good faith with the Riddell Group and try to get this thing going.
So we do have to identify the property when we do this, though, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so you can
And at
approve
this-
it, you can approve it as is, but before we get it to them, we'll have to insert the actual property that we're
Okay.
talking about.
And we're saying that we're not certain that we own that property? Because I remember the other day, there was a conversation.
Yeah,
when we
my
were
legal
talking about
position for
property
the,
that
my,
the
my legal
college-
position for the city would be we do own it, but I'm not gonna invest a bunch of money in that property. We're talking about
You're
Riddell
gonna get a
doing that.
title opinion?
And if I was them, I would wanna make sure it was clean title before I got too far involved in this, and so we're just doing that on the front end, Ron.
Eli, do you have anything to add? I know you worked on this for a while.
Yeah, just to kind of clarify, they did not require any specific land to be set aside for the MOU. That would be something, as you mentioned, that would come later. We have had a lot of solid conversations because I know some of the early questions were, can we get any LOIs with companies before we commit to this? We have meetings with them scheduled with some potential companies and potential clients. None of those are confirmed yet, but it is exciting that there's a potential maybe build to suit rather than a spec build on that. Any other questions from? They are very excited to work with us on this. They see a lot of potential. There's a lot of kind of projects in the work that would align well with this.
I know something that we had asked, and we kind of reviewed with, we went over in the work session, but Riddell Group has worked with other cities, ironically, cities that are also working with the same companies that we have coming here, or nearby. But just for the public's sake, anyway, either you or Scarlett, if you could let everyone know the recommendation from those cities.
Sure. So I spoke directly with, sorry, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I spoke directly with the economic development team from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, to just kind of see what their experience was like with Riddell. I can read his comments to you, but very positive comments in terms of the process, in terms of everything involved. And really the benefit, not only for the city, but also for companies, is that the capital is not coming from us. The capital is coming from the Riddell Group. So companies looking to save on capital can then come in at a lease rate on a building and not have to expend what they would on a new build. So that's really what the benefit is for them and for us.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Nope.
Just glad to see this moving forward.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of potential companies interested in that, and if we have something available to offer them, I think it'll do a lot for us.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the attached MOU with GVW Riddle Management LLC in order to begin planning for future industrial properties and opportunities in Liberal.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, item number 14, 2026 City of Liberal IT project purchases. Tim? We're gonna get the whole audio-visual, right?
Huh?
We're gonna get a whole audio-visual.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Okay, Tim Lunsford with IT Department. I'm the IT Director for the City of Liberal. I come before you tonight to request approval to move forward with our 2026-20 IT project purchases. To kind of highlight what we're looking at replacing, we're looking at replacing 10 servers and roughly 7 storage devices throughout the city. 3 of them will be allocated to the PD, 1 of them to the data center at City Hall, 1 to the Air Museum, 1 to wastewater, 1 to here, and I believe that's the only, I think that's all. And then the servers are dispersed throughout the city. For the ones that are kind of aged out by now, a lot of them are quite old in terms of IT hardware. The ones at PD were purchased in 2011, and we have nursed them along for quite. They don't owe us anything. Let's put it that way. We sought quotes from 3 different vendors. 2 of them actually sent quotes back. The third one offered no correspondence at all, which is kind of shocking because they usually come back with at least something. But so in your packet, you will see 2 quotes. One from CDWG, which is we've worked with them for as long as I've been here. The second quote is from SHI, and the quote from CDWG came in as the lowest quote for $211,127.72. The quote from SHI came in at $234,481.81. It kind of puzzled me why there was such a large variance between the two, so I went through and highlighted on some of the things that were some really glaring differences in what the cost variances were. A lot of them were hard drives, things like that. One of the main reasons for pushing the purchase of all this equipment to today is on Thursday, there's a 15 to 40% increase on a lot of this. So I was really kind of hammering a lot on these vendors to get these quotes to me so I could get them purchased before, the price hike. And you're just going to see those kind of increases across the board. It's not going to matter whether or not you're buying a personal computer or, Fortune 500 style computer. It's all going up. So we're saving about 1.34% off of what I projected off of last year. Immediately when I started doing the budget and getting quotes in, there was already about a 10 to 15% increase on the prices of what from last June till about a month ago. So they've already increased that amount. So in saying all of that, I would request for consideration to award the 2026 IT storage server refresh project to CDWG in the amount of $211,172.72 to be funded from the 47045 budget line from IT department. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
This will be the last year, this is the year that you cap out, or is that next year?
That's the next year.
So next year will be, and then we'll.
And
go-
then you're gonna start seeing a drastic reduction in IT costs.
Got it.
And then it'll start ramping up about, 5 or 7 years after that. So,
As replacements start again.
yeah.
Well, the fact that they've lasted more than 10 years, anything that we have technology-wise is impressive.
We try and stretch it out as far as we can. Sometimes it's inevitable, things break, but, servers are usually very, very reliable so that we can push the life expectancy of those out quite a ways, but, workstations and things like that, it's usually, 5 to 7 years is about the top.
I move we award the City of Liberal 2026 Storage and Server Refresh Project to CDWG in the amount of $211,127.72. This item will be funded from the General Fund 47045 budget line.
Do we want to do not to exceed the 214 or just do the exact? I noticed there was, in one comment, it said not to exceed 214.
I put that.
Which
in
one do
there,
you
Tim,
want?
just
Oh,
in
okay,
case.
okay,
It
that's-
gave us a
that's
little
fine.
bit of wiggle room.
Okay,
That's
that's
still
fine.
within the budgeted authority that we have on capital improvements.
I amend to not to exceed 214,000.
Gotcha.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Item number 15, Planning and Zoning Board Appointments.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, it's that time where board appointments are coming, we've had some terms expire on the Planning and Zoning Board. Hyro was forced to step down due to being appointed as a county commissioner and not able to serve on both. So we have an open seat, and then we have some expiring terms to re-up. With Hyro's vacancy and the expiring terms, we had 1 county seat and 3 city seats open. There are 4 applications to fill. Nick Schwint, Steve Mers, and Edgar Ortunio all applied to be reappointed. And we had a new application from Tanya Colvin to be appointed to the board. All 4 applications are within the city limits, so we had 3 available seats for them. The current sitting board members that were not expiring motioned and voted to recommend to you that we retain Nick Schwint, Steve Mers, and Edgar Ortunio for another 3-year term, which still leaves us with a county seat vacant, which I'm looking for somebody. If you know of somebody, that person would have to live outside of the corporate city limits, but inside of the extraterritorial area, which does limit a lot the number of residents. But the Planning and Zoning Board has recommended for your consideration that you would reappoint Nick Schwint, Steve Mers, and Edgar Ortunio, each for a 3-year term on the Planning and Zoning Board.
Can council let us know, is it the 3-mile barrier that, extraterritorial zone, that created the conflict between having Hyro as a planning board member? What created the conflict?
That's state statute.
Yeah,
It
the fact that
says-
he's a county commissioner now,
Yeah,
that's the conflict.
to the planning and zoning board.
Because issues will go before the planning and zoning board that he would then vote upon, that he would then make recommendations from the.
So ours answers to the county commission?
I'm sorry?
Ours answers to the county commission?
Well, your.
On the extraterritorial zone.
Well, okay, do your appointed individuals, well, they're on the planning and zoning board for the city, so no. But the potential conflict would still be there because it's still in the county. Does that make sense? Because it's still in that 3 mile area, yeah, it's still subject to the city zoning, but it's still located in the county.
Right. My only concern was which is the part that created the conflict?
Just the fact that he's on, the state statute says if you serve as a county commissioner, you cannot serve on other boards within the city and county.
And I don't know which, I mean, I don't know. if
Which
it's by
state statute
KSA.
says that?
I
I know
don't,
you and I talked about it.
I don't have it available, but,
I can.
Yeah, if you can forward that
Yeah,
one to
I
us,
will.
just to be sure.
Yep, I'll show it to you. Or I'll
Because the
email it to you.
extraterritorial is the one that makes sense, but yeah, recommending something to the city that then goes to the city commission and then is never approved by the county is the part that I wanted to clarify, because there was no conflict there. But I could see on the territorial, maybe, because that one is shared.
Yeah, I'll have to find the state statute. and I can put it.
Okay.
We have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we reappoint Steve Mers, Nick Swint, and Edgar Artuno each for a 3-year term to the Planning and Zoning Board, correct?
yes, sir.
And just so you guys know, I did go to the meeting. I missed a whole bunch, but they did too, right? But
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussions or questions for Keith? Or Lynn? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, Keith. Item number 16, sewer assessment.
So Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I'm not sure what happened to the detail of this agenda item, but when you try to go through it, I think it's blank. And we were having some fits with our software when we were trying to push out the agenda last week, so I apologize for that. The good news is there were no attachments and it was very brief. So I know that the commission has expressed their desire to end the sewer assessment early, which means that we would only average meter reads from December to January and January to February. We would eliminate the February to March read. I want to clarify that per ordinance number 4614, the City of Liberal establishes the sewer assessment as the average monthly water usage during the 3 billing months of January, February, and March. This period is further defined from the time each customer's water meter is read in December through the time each customer's water meter is read in March. Water meters are usually read beginning the 15th through the 21st of the month. So this would just average 2 cycles instead of 3. And I know with the weather warming up, everybody has the desire to water. So we are just asking approval to end the assessment early.
Okay. Just for clarification, because I've had multiple people call me with their irrigation motors revving, ready to go, is when would that second cycle, when did it or will it end?
I believe the meter read is mid of the month. So I have an email, let me see. I worked with Melissa on this because I know there were concerns last week with the fire.
Right.
We had several calls regarding that and concerns about additional water usage. Let me get it for you because she had exact dates of the meter reads so that we're clear. Okay. Let's see if I can search it this way. I can tell you that it would already be over, but let me see if I can find it here. I don't know that I have it right here accessible. Brad, do you know? I believe it was middle of the month on the reads.
I would think it would be over by now.
Yes, I know it would be over by now. I just need to find the oh, I think I talked to her by phone on that and wrote it down. But I would say it was around the 14th or 15th of the
Okay.
month based on our phone conversation. And it would already be expired at this point.
Okay.
So Much of what happened last week wouldn't even be included. I remember that from the conversation last week.
Very good, thank you.
If we could get an official date from that and maybe put it in the city summaries. Okay. And now, is that assessment, as far as we know, too, not changed by the different assessments for commercial and residential? 'Cause I know those are on different billing cycles. I don't know if they're on different assessment cycles.
We push bills out twice a month, irregardless. So to me, it wouldn't be a factor. It would be the same date timeframe.
Any other questions?
You just need a consensus on that, or you need a vote? or
They'll need a motion.
Motion? And that's a motion that we're we're just doing 2-month cycle, or two?
Yes, we're just averaging 2 months for the sewer assessment instead of 3.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, any questions?
You might tell them it's supposed to be 22 or 23 degrees Sunday night, though.
Right, yeah.
Don't get too excited.
So be careful, you've been warned. All right, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 17, SCDC, employment transition.
All right, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, we discussed this at our last meeting. Let me give you a quick rundown of where we are at. The County Commission did approve this, I guess informally, at their meeting just this week. We will need to take a consensus tonight that we are in favor of this per Lynn, and then there's several other agreements that need to be handled.
Yeah, so beginning of the meeting today, I emailed the county and tried to ask as well. I'm not aware of any interlocal agreement that was ever established that created this entity. Sounds like there's a unification agreement that was a 2-page document. My position's always been if you have two taxing entities that are working jointly for something using taxpayer dollars, there should be an interlocal agreement. So we're trying to find out if there ever was one. I don't think there was one. If there never was one, then there needs to be one that needs to be created that outlines all of the conditions and requirements of both entities, how that's gonna be governed, et cetera. So I'm gonna work with April and their legal counsel and see if we can't get something like that put together. But if you guys can make a consensus that you're wanting to do something similar to what the county approved to do, at least that can give us some direction and try to start that process going. If we do in fact have to have an interlocal agreement, then it's subject to formal approval by both the city and the county, and then subject to the Attorney General's approval as well. It takes a little bit of time, but again, you guys give us that consensus, we can start working on that. Might be a little bit ambitious, but we can try and we'll see how it goes. So.
Eli, do you remember? I'm thinking there was. I think I was there when it happened, but I thought there was an agreement that,
All of
do
us
you
were.
remember?
Well,
You're talking about the first one.
see, I was gonna say, so the Development Corporation was formed in 2018. I was brought on in August of 2019. By that point, the city had separated from it, and so I have never seen any sort of document that would have shown an
And when
interlocal
we
agreement.
recombined, we only approved the unification agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I guess at some point we decided not to do it, and then we decided to do it.
Yeah. I just need to do
With a
some more
different
research on
commission,
it,
yeah.
but, I mean, if you guys
I
can
remember now.
provide a consensus tonight like the county did, then we
Yeah.
can figure it out and go that direction, whatever is needed to be done.
Is that gonna mess up our timetable, Scarlett?
As he said, I think May 2026 is slightly aggressive, but we will work on it. We've cleared some other projects and we will prioritize it.
Okay. Okay, so just by show of hands, consensus to move forward? Okay? So that 4-0 for that, so. Welcome to the family.
Even though apparently you don't exist according to legal. But anyway, we'll continue to keep funding you, don't worry.
All right, item number 18, city staff.
Well,
Kelly, go ahead and go first.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I was asked by City Manager to come in tonight and give you a little bit of a briefing and answer any questions you might have regarding the wind and fire event last Tuesday, at least from the City Fire Department's perspective. Might just start off by saying, you know, we've had a lot of these windy days in the past couple of years. They seem to be coming, maybe just because I'm more nervous about it, more and more prevalent. But, you know, I can remember back in March of last year, we had a Friday where the wind blew and we had a storm come in. We thought a plane went down. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. On those days, you just try to be at a heightened level of readiness. So, again, one thing I think the weatherman can forecast is wind and do it pretty well. It'll start when they say it's going to start. So, we actually started thinking about this Friday before 4 days before. Chief Barkley in Emergency Management put out some sit reps of what the forecast was going to be and that the wildfire was going to be extremely critical. So it didn't catch us by surprise. He actually had put into place in one of his sit reps that for whatever, he divided the county into quadrants, and should a wildfire start in any certain quadrant and we were receiving multiple calls on it, dispatch would automatically start calling mutual aid from the closest agencies, either north, south, east, or west. So that's some of the planning that went in ahead. Basically, all we can do on days like that is just to stand ready, have a plan in place of how we'll take care of it, because it's unscripted. You just have to, you hope that nothing happens, but then you have to react to things as they happen. And that caused a lot of the reactions that happened during the day last Tuesday. Of course, it was Pancake Day. We were staffed at the City Fire Department. We were staffed normally with our 5 on-duty guys and then our 5 admin people during the day. Of course, being Pancake Day, we were committed to a lot of activities, our ladder truck at the races, things at the breakfast. So we had kind of been trying to meet all of those obligations through the day. So we were just hoping against hope that nothing would happen, and it turns out that our area we didn't get that lucky this year. Sometime between noon and 1, I received my first call from Chief Barkley saying that fire had started in the Oklahoma Panhandle and was threatening Stevens County. And the reason that's significant to us is Rodney Kelling from Stevens County had called, and they were going to be committing almost all of their units to their southern border of Stevens County to try to get ahead of that fire and stop it as fast as they could. What that means to us is now Seward County stands up and stands ready that if something happens in Stevens County or our county, they'll send what resources they can to try to assist with that. So when they do that, Chief Barkley calls me, well, that puts us on a heightened level of alert as well, because we're kind of, if they're committing to that, we're going to commit to some of the things like medical calls or vehicle accidents in the county, things like that. It's just kind of a domino effect. And it wasn't very long after that. That was a large fire. I believe it started near Texoma. That was probably the biggest fire in that area at that time. They received a call, Seward County did, of another fire down by Tyrone. So they committed a lot of their units to that. Well, that puts us next up. So our response to that was just to get everybody back in their stations and prepared to respond. Myself, I know Deputy Chief Regier, we went out because the threat's coming from the southwest. We went out 2nd Street Road, Road 3 to Road F, and we patrolled Road F all the way to Road 7 just to kind of get the lay of the land out there, see where the breaks would be, like quarters of green wheat, things like that. So we went out and kind of got comfortable and kind of started to get a plan of action should Liberal be threatened by that. So those fires were continuing to burn. They were continuing to do battle. Seward County Fire got a good hold on the one at Tyrone. It did quite a bit of damage, but they were able to get in under control. And then they threw in with the other units from Stevens County and all of the Oklahoma units to try to stop that fire that was coming in from the southwest. Well, that's as things started to progress. Kind of lose track of the timing because we were just reacting to what was happening. The next was a National Weather Service reported a heat bloom north of 64 and east of 83 in Oklahoma. So I think Chief Barkley peeled someone off and sent someone to at least scout that out, and Oklahoma units will respond to that. At this point, Liberal Fire, we're still just on high alert, but I'm proud of the way our guys responded. We didn't put out a page for help, but a lot of our off-duty personnel started to drift back into the stations and just be prepared. So that fire took off, and I think that's the one that ended up getting to Woodward later in the evening. And then the only thing the county had left in our station was one of their grass fire rigs, Attack 3. And talking to Chief Barkley on the phone, and I was in contact with him off and on all day. Talking to him on the phone, he told me that if we felt like we could operate that vehicle, we could certainly use it for anything that we might have in the city. Again, probably at this point, we'll talk about the difference between the two departments. You know, rural fire is designed to fight a running wildland fire. Their trucks all pump and roll. They carry a much larger amount of water, 1,000 to 2,000 gallons of water. And they're designed to pump and roll and chase a fire over land and put out the fire, where we're a municipal department. Our structural engines are designed to set up on a paved street attached to a water supply such as a hydrant and fight a stationary fire in a building. So we need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. We need each other. We need to call them when wildland threatens Liberal. They need to call us when structure fire protection is needed, which had happened the previous week as well on a fire out on Bluebell Road. So that was a perfect illustration this week of the difference in the necessity of the two different types of fire departments. But then just shortly before 4 o'clock, the fire that started at Andrew Lane started. At that point, there was not much left in the barn for us to send out. So what happened from the city fire's perspective at that time is we took Attack 3, the county's rig. We put 2 of our more experienced firefighters on it, and Deputy Chief Regier in his command vehicle. They headed to Andrew Lane along with Haskell County units. The Haskell County chief and one of his units headed that way. Cody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think by the time you guys arrived on scene at Andrew Lane, the fire had already jumped roads and was headed into the river bottom. So that's how fast things were moving. There was just no keeping up with it. These aren't fires you can put out. You just have to catch a break. You have to work and work and work, get in front of them, disc in front of them, create fire breaks, look for natural fire breaks like green wheat or highways or things like that. So it was just almost an impossible situation to get that started. That fire within, I believe, around, I had looked it up, I'll probably get this wrong, but less than an hour, that fire made it from Andrew Lane, was into Meade County burning structures at that point. And we had Chief Vermillion from the Meade County Fire Department and his units were out there as well. I know all day long I was on the phone with Chief Barkley. We were monitoring multiple radios throughout the day. The regional TAC channels should back up a little bit. Somewhere around noon, both Seward County Fire and Liberal Fire got requests to send units to Ashland, as far away to Ashland. We just were unable to fulfill that request because we can't, like I said, on that day, we had 5 guys on duty at 3 stations with 11 trucks. We got to stay home, play defense, and protect what our job is to protect. It's hard to fight the urge to send them what you can, but you got to be ready for what's going to happen next as well and stay prepared. So at that point, we had pretty much everything committed. Our plan in the city was to use those off-duty people, and we were going to take our 4 fire engines, 15, 16, 17, and 300, and Squad 4, our 1 pump and roll capable vehicle, and just load them with as many people as we could. And if Liberal was threatened, we'd just put ourselves between the fire and the city limits and try to stop it before it got to town. But we did have people out at the Andrew Lane fire, and we were some of the first to respond to that. Throughout that day, from 11:30 Tuesday morning until 9:30 Tuesday night, the normal things that happen in a day happened in Liberal as well. We responded to, not counting the grass fire at Andrew Lane, we responded to 12 additional calls in the city that day. There were 7 ambulance calls, 3 fire alarms, 2 of them in apartment complexes. I believe those were probably stirred up by the dust and the smoke blowing through the town. And then down to power lines ×2 that could have easily been fires within the city as well. So there was the normal tempo of things. So all of the resources in all of Seward County and everybody around us, I think it's no secret, we're stretched to the maximum there. I'd like to also take a moment to express our appreciation to everyone who donated to us. I was overwhelmed. I don't have the words to say the people that stopped by with water, Gatorade, lip balm, wet wipes, sunglasses for those guys that are out getting just sandblasted out there. The response and the donations were overwhelming, and we've still got water and things in our station, and we spent today reaching out to surrounding fire departments, just making sure everyone got taken care of. So I'm telling you, Liberal got everything we needed, Seward County got everything they needed, and when we reach out to other departments, they all got everything they need too. So the donations and response from the public was just overwhelming. I can't say thank you enough for all of that. But like I said, it was unscripted. Basically, it feels like we did a lot that day, but in hindsight, maybe we didn't, we did what we had to do, but we handled it. I'd also like to say that the closest Liberal got threatened. I've never seen in my 30-plus years, I've never seen a smoke condition hammer Liberal like it did that day. That wind was such a driving wind, that smoke couldn't rise and diffuse. It was just being driven right through town, and Liberal was in the bullseye. We were just right through the center of town was getting it. I've never seen anything like that, so I think that drove the anxiety level up. Some of the social media posts about mid-afternoon, I started getting calls about social media posts saying we needed to evacuate Liberal. And finally worked with KSCB and just went live on the air with Joe just to tell people, we're watching this. Liberal does not need to be evacuated at this time, and we'll give you plenty of notice. Probably another fallacy was that we would evacuate Liberal in its entirety. I don't see that happening. I could see us having to evacuate neighborhoods. In this instance, where that fire was coming from, and we continually kept one person on the outside of town monitoring, we had the buffer of the airport, which is mowed. Thank heavens it's mowed from the air show and everything. And we had some green wheat that would have protected the mobile home parks on the north end of town. My biggest concern that day was if the wind had stayed hard out of the west and driven that along the south edge of town. When you get down to this end of town with Arlington, Nottingham, Sycamore, South Street and all that, that's where we have a true wildland urban interface that concerns me down there. But Chief Barkley was in touch with me, and that fire just barely made it into Kansas due to the efforts of the county fire department working in that area with Haskell County units and Oklahoma units. And he called me sometime around probably close to 5 o'clock and said, we're going to try to stop it at Road C and Road 3. If it gets across that, I'll let you make the call as to an evacuation. I think even prior to that, I'd been in touch with Scarlett and Keeley and started to work up a draft evacuation idea. But he called me back within 30 minutes, and I could tell by the smoke condition that they had it under control out there. So really about 3 miles from the west edge of our airport was the closest the fire ever got to Liberal. And then I'd say by around 9 o'clock that night, the wind in Liberal had died down, and the threat to Liberal was pretty much mitigated and taken care of. But I appreciate all the efforts of everyone, and there were a lot of people that worked a lot harder than us that day. And but I just kind of wanted to put that out there for you, kind of the unfolding of the day. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or try to fill in any information that I've missed or you can think of.
Are you guys short on anything? I mean, the county, you said you had donations of water and Gatorade and things like that. Are you short of anything that you need, that you're missing?
I can't think of anything at this point, really can't. We've talked about it a lot. One thing, and it's kind of in the plan, I'd like to see us have a brush rig where that, if we could get our hands on one, they make little smaller brush rigs with 200 gallons of water, and that might be something where it would have value to us in the city of Liberal for smaller grass fires, but it would enable us to assist our neighbors even more, is what I think. It has some value as regarding deployments at the state level as a state strike team. I don't know if everyone was aware, but one of the strike teams came from Johnson County up around Kansas City, and there were firefighters from Olathe and all the suburbs of Kansas City out there. And then on Saturday, I take that back, on Thursday, I believe it was, the strike team from Wamego came down. So those were the state resources that came in, and then actually got to using the crop dusters on Friday. And our contribution there is our airport station, we're set up with the hydrant, and we have a hose set up that we can deploy and have out there. We keep a firefighter out there, and as quick as the crop dusters come in, we hook up to them, top their tanks off, and send them on the way. So that's why you could see the crop dusters constantly circling. So there are ways we as a city department can help where we can't really get out and chase the fire and fight the fire because of the way we're set up. If it's threatening a populated area where there are houses, we'll definitely send rigs out to them to do structural protection and things like that.
That was kind of my question, is the way the city is set up, we have, if a fire's coming from one direction, the line you kind of draw is either gonna be your Western, your Pine, Tucker, or Country Estates. So there's a lot of, fire breaks from getting into the city. Of course, you still have embers that can travel however much they can, but I really believe that the chance we ever have to evacuate the entire city, that would be a fire that just is spreading. And the chances are then you couldn't leave the city anyway because of smoke, visibility, and chances are you have fires that shut off highways anyway.
Yeah, in my mind, in my experience, we might have to evacuate neighborhoods, but for me, the only way we'd evacuate the whole city might be a big rail disaster involving hazardous materials or something like that, where we would have to send people just get as far away as you can. That's the most likely scenario for that.
That or national beef, ammonia break.
An ammonia leak or chlorine leak or something like that, so that
Okay.
would probably be the biggest threat for those things.
I had a comment to make too. I do want to thank you guys for all of your hard work during the fires, and thank you for the great communication with me as well. I did stay in contact with Scarlett and the chief because we started getting a lot of calls. Personally, on my personal Facebook, on my commission page, I started getting calls at the hospital. I know you guys are extremely busy trying to put out the fires and with a lot of other logistics, but I feel like if we had a emergency management communications plan across the city. Back when Greg was here, we used to actually meet with all of the public information officers, and we would talk about how we would be ready with situations like this. So, I mean, this may be a conversation for another day, but I think it would be nice if the city would lead it, just because I think that information is very important. I think it was great that you were on KSCB, but I also had a lot of Spanish speakers who were like freaking out. I think once the smoke hit, everybody started panicking and didn't really know what to do. And so I feel like if we could sit down and talk about like a communications plan, that would really help people not freak out. Because I had a lot of people who were just ready to like leave town. And I feel like that would have been more dangerous.
It didn't
in
help
the
that
end.
there were storm chasers
Yeah,
that
that
had no
too.
contact with anybody who were
Telling
putting out, liberal needs to evacuate now. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
and so you're right, if we had some official communication.
And we used to meet, I think it's been like 2 years, but it's basically all of the public information officers from all the entities, and we had a press release that would come from all the entities just ready to go. That way, I mean, I know you guys are busy.
That's a function actually of the local emergency planning committee, which we meet quarterly now. It used to be a monthly meeting, but quite honestly, a lot of times don't have things to talk about. But that PIO group was established through the LEPC. We met in January, we'll meet again in April on the third Tuesday of April, I believe. It's a quarterly meeting. Those are public meetings. Anybody's welcome to come to those. And, you know, with just the changes recently in the emergency management here in Seward County, I think the emergency management coordinator was in place, but just the way things unfolded and it
Yeah.
happened so fast.
Well, it used to be just the public, like from the school
Just the
district, from the
PIOs.
city. Well, back then we didn't have one for the city, but the hospital, National Beef also has one that they would send out. But we were all in communication, and we met every other month. In case there was ever a catastrophe, we would all come together or just join through Zoom and just come up like information to send out as a unified message.
The last time they had one.
Yeah,
we did
you
have-
would
I
go.
was there, and then the fire department also had a rep there, so we did have city people there.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember seeing you now.
Because Aaron was there for you guys.
Yeah, we've always kind of served as our own PIOs. We do a lot of press release, I'm
Yeah.
sure law enforcement.
I just think it would help us send a unified, stronger message faster and in dual languages. That way everybody's informed and not panicking trying to leave town.
And that's kind of the idea behind that PIO group was that if the city of Liberal is the one being threatened, other agencies, PIOs could step in and help fulfill that
Yeah.
because they're maxed out on that. Just same if when the county's busy, the city's PIO
Yeah.
could help craft and deliver the messages, so.
Because the question would be, what do we need to do to reinstate that
That group.
process? Who can lead that one? And I know it's usually a lot.
PC is actually in charge of that. And so
Yeah,
we'd have to
so-
bring that up in
Yeah.
a meeting in April.
There is the emergency plan. I will say some of what we're talking about kind of just happened naturally. We started drafting up stuff to go out at about 2:00 because it wasn't looking good. We started making our communications and having that ready to go. There were a couple of points at which they reached out to us just to kind of coordinate messaging. And so most of that was going out through our social media.
But I just feel like there was nothing that said, don't evacuate until later. And like I said, I had a lot of people calling, just freaking out, like they had their bags ready to go. So that's why I'm saying if we could just have a more unified message, telling and directing people what to do to be safe,
Well,
that
and
would help
typically,
out.
We get push notifications for winter storms and tornadoes, but I didn't get any push notifications.
I didn't either
On
for
Tuesday
this.
for fire. I found that odd. Did any of you okay,
No. And that originates on the county side.
yes.
Yeah,
So-
that's through the Hyper Reach program
Yeah.
on the county side.
So something happened there.
'Cause we
Typically,
didn't-
I do get them.
Did have another issue too, because Tyrone was told to evacuate to Liberal, but not told where to evacuate. And so then we have the different organizations in town calling, saying, we're getting calls that Tyrone, that we need to help the people from Tyrone, but there was no staging area. I know most of them were staying at the Toot and Totem parking lot or the Walmart parking lot. And there was no organized effort really of where those people needed to evacuate to and where we were gonna hold 700 people if it was long-term.
And we know the order of those evacuation buildings. I kind of feel that was probably a county communication piece, but I understand what you're saying. So there will be a change in that in the coming days, and we'll have to reorganize, I'm sure.
I just think we could all work together more efficiently to get that information out.
I guess we should.
I also think those meetings would be great for the media to be there. To know, don't put nothing out unless it comes from
They-
you or the.
Well, they
emergency
used to,
management team.
Joe used to
Because you're just
go,
spitting stuff out there that you don't, well, I heard this, so I'm gonna throw it out there.
and they used to go, Enrique from La Mexicana used to go, and Joe used to go, Earl used to stop by sometimes, but this was just public information officers, and we would train on how to get the messaging right for the community.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, I mean, by state statute, the county manages emergencies.
Correct. And we were trying to respect that.
Yeah.
We did finally release city-level information bilingual,
Right.
a few messages.
And most of their people have spent less than 6 months in their current role.
Correct.
Yeah.
And some of them were doing dual roles and were busy fighting the fire
Fire.
themselves instead of, that role as well. So,
And we didn't want to overstep. We shared information that was pertinent through Kelly as to what was going on for city limits. We weren't provided with any information about what was happening out in the county so that we could help support that effort, so.
It really didn't get into Seward County until about 4:00 in the afternoon. At all that time, we were helping our Oklahoma neighbors
right.
handle their issues. It didn't get into Seward County until late in the afternoon, and then at 4:00, the fire started in Seward County. And by then, we were so committed helping our neighbors, we didn't have much left here. Like I said, there's no script to it, you just handle it as it builds, and at some point, and it could happen in the city at any time with a tornado emergency or something like that, at some point, you start to triage incidents. You have to go to the one that has the most life threat. And if there's one that's just gonna burn into the river bottom, that one might take a lower priority than some. When you got the one that's coming from the southwest gonna threaten the city of 19,000, 20,000, that's the one where you're gonna keep your resources at until you get it controlled enough to break things away. And we were breaking things away and sending what we could, but you weaken yourself each time you peel something off and send it to something else.
We completely agree. And thank you so much for all that your guys did, and definitely to the community as well.
I tell the guys all the time, it's a privilege to get to do what we do and to be able to do that. And it's rewarding work, and proud of the guys that work for me, that work for us. They didn't have to ask them, they just showed up at the station and they were there ready to work. And I don't think, Cody, you got back home about 2 a.m. that night? And finally got things contained on the river enough to send them back at around 2 a.m.
Yeah, it ought to be noted too, I mean, besides the, you know, the county and the city and other rural departments, there were countless farmers who, you know, hooked discs up and they disked ahead of those fires, you know, and I know, you know, just from my connection to John Deere is that there were multiple tractors lost in that fire, that were complete losses just because they got so close to that fire trying to stop them. So there was, you know, there were a lot of people other than that who pitched in and, you know, were at risk as well, so.
I'm glad you brought
The
that
whole
up. I had
community,
that.
the whole area really just kind of showed up and helped on this thing. So it was really kind of amazing to watch.
And that's what it takes. The water supplies that are brought out, the tankers that are brought out to fill the trucks, the tractors that disc it and create the fire breaks and get in front of it. It takes everything. It takes a whole community to handle an event like that, because that really was a pretty historic event that happened, so.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So since we're talking about fires, let's talk about this. So that Wednesday morning, me and Bruce went out to work Kaylee, and we noticed the fire on the other side of the highway. We went down, did our thing, come back up, and the fire was right there at the highway. I mean, the flames were tall, there was 4 fires. So we have, I think it's a great idea. I think Kelly thinks this will help too. We have a line that runs right through Arcata. We want to put a fire hydrant there, because those guys were going 8 miles round trip.
Probably so. I think they were going, they went a lot of places, yeah.
And they could have just hopped across, filled up, and went back across the highway. We want to put one there, and we want to put one down at the campground.
That's a good idea.
Protect the campground.
It's a good
We're-
idea.
We're doing this water project, so we're gonna take a couple of those hydrants. So we're gonna be out maybe a couple $1,000 for valves and saddles and tap into that line. And hopefully we never use them.
Yeah,
But if we have a need for them, or the eastern part of the county has a need for it, they can come right there and get it.
it's a good idea.
And I think that's a big help. I know some could hook up to Conestoga if they can get access to it, but I think it'd be great to have that available.
We're gonna work on that, just to let you know. A couple of updates. Arcata Road will be started in 2 weeks. They said it'll take 3 days to do it. What will be done by the first, when we open the park. Cart path started with the golf course on Monday,
Oh, good.
so they started that project. All the community buildings are getting refurbished, touch-up paint inside, the floor strip that we've done. We were over at the Dole Edition today, the cul-de-sacs poured, they poured, I mean, you get 400 or 500.
About 450 foot of street, poured about 300 yards of concrete today.
Nice.
We'll have all but the, where those box deals, probably one lot, less than 100 foot. We'll have less than 100 foot left on Larry Street after tomorrow.
And on the bus facility, it's kind of at a standstill, we're waiting on the building. So everything's done there.
I went by today and they've got the concrete poured and it looks really good. It's just sitting there waiting for a building to go on.
Yeah, they, I think Scarlett, he picked the colors last week and sent the color to them. The building will be here, in April. I don't think it's gonna take long, but
Yeah,
there will be.
good.
I've got a lot of transportation updates today. So we will be, if you're familiar and remember, there is an advisory group for the Southwest Kansas Mobility and Expansion Study. We've got a meeting on Friday to kind of see some of those early results. So excited about that. They're halfway through essentially with that study right now. They've just completed phase 2. They're going to give the advisory group some of the initial results, so we're looking forward to that. I think the data is very supportive of our needs and really truly shows the story of what's happening out here. So we'll keep you updated on that. I did pass around, there is a meeting, and you're all invited to that, Tuesday, April the 7th from 1 to 2 p.m., Sierra County Community College, 229D, just for the record. That is for local officials to come and hear an update on the US 54 expansion and that 5483 6-point intersection. So you're all invited to that, and you can RSVP with the information provided that I handed out. We did meet with Congressman Tracy Mann. That was a great meeting. He called us up and said we'll be out in the area, so we walked him through the airport and showed him our great terminal and some of the challenges that we have. We did share some of the good information we've been getting about our growth over this last year. And then we walked him through our tiny terminal and waiting areas. And he was able to see the footprint of some of that TSA equipment, just how small we've shrank in terms of our holding area after security. So he definitely wanted to let us know he supports, we've got grants in process for a couple of different phases of that project, so we gave him an update on that. We did talk to him about our AWAS issues.
Good.
And they need to either update that equipment, because we did lose 3-4 days of flights recently, to either update the equipment or propose the idea that for EAS communities, for those companies who service EAS communities, to have a requirement for them to have a trained weather observer who can be the backup to that system, able to respond within a certain amount of time, or to be located near those EAS locations so that we have some backup there. That's something they can very easily put into the federal legislation. So we've kind of floated that idea to them as well, because that's a very low cost substitute for, some of the technical backup on that. So had a good conversation with him about that. He is on aviation. Yeah, aviation committee, so good.
That being said, we did have those same conversations with Senator Moran and his staff and the head of one of those departments 2 years ago regarding the exact same issue.
Yeah.
So keep at it.
Yes. That's the point.
So to me, it would make sense that we would get someone in the city personnel trained for that, because I guarantee you that you may get it for the first year, and then someone moves, and then that person who's certified is gone, and then we're right back in the same position again.
So we previously did that. Great Lakes had, their manager was weather certified, me and one of the other employees went to Riverton, Wyoming. Spent a week up there, got weather certified. So we did have to, we did it for the airline.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't affect anything we do.
No, I get that, but.
It affects our numbers and everything else every time that happens.
Yeah. And the timing was the perfect storm. It happened on a Friday.
Yeah.
They can't get anybody out till Monday afternoon, so you lose Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of flights. And it's absolutely perfect weather.
Yeah.
But because you don't have anybody out there to say, yeah, it's perfect, you lose 4 days worth of flights.
Brian has looked into that and looked into you gotta have certain FAA approved equipment to register the wind and
Right.
all that stuff. So
I don't know. As a backup, I would think it would be prudent for us to take on some of that ourselves.
Yeah. We also did get new numbers just today for our ArcStar media campaign for the airport. We've had more than 420,000 total impressions since we started mid-January, and we've had almost 5,300 clicks. If we've sold tickets to all those 5,300 clicks, we're going to be in good shape. We are leading into the busiest booking season for us, and so the timing of this couldn't be better. So we're just appreciate the professional work that they've done. It's great to have the analytics on the back end. Of course, we passed our first phase of the bids that we have for the RCE crossing project. So we will be bringing the second phase for the environmental assessments in April, so we're looking forward to that. And then for the downtown master plan that we discussed on Friday, we touched base with Confluence and Rick Engineering, and they will be getting pricing for us pretty soon. So we're hoping to bring it to you in March.
Awesome.
So.
Anybody else? Looks like it's pretty much city staff left. Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I'd like to invite you all to one of our retirements coming up this Thursday at 2 p.m. It is for Mary Tryon. A lot of people know her by Francie. She's been working for us in dispatch for 24 years, and she will be retiring. This will be held at the Bluebonnet Community Building. So if you guys would like to celebrate, to wish her a happy retirement, we would really appreciate it.
2 o'clock?
Yes, 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Anybody else? All right, item number 19, city manager report.
Okay, so Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I will try to keep this quick. We've had a long meeting, but it's been productive. First of all, I hate it when I don't know the answer to a question, so I try to be resourceful. I found my bill, my water utility bill, and on it, it states that the sewer assessment will run from December 1st through March 12th. I remember Melissa telling me mid-month, between 12th and the 14th. So I believe that would mean that we would be around February 12th to the 14th. I know we send the wire to produce the statements on the 11th, around the 11th of every month. So that would make sense. We'll just cut off of that average. So that's not the exact answer, but I think we're in the ballpark. Yes.
I did get a reply.
Okay.
You said the first week's the first week and the second week's the second week.
So I must be on the second. Mhm. So everything would have been done by the time the fire hit last week. So I think we were fairly accurate on that earlier. Speaking of the fires, thank you to the fire department, the police department, communications for their work last Tuesday. I didn't think anything could top last year's Pancake Day until this year. And I'm very concerned about next year because of what we have experienced over the last couple of years. But in the true spirit of liberal, we managed and we made it through it. So I appreciate everybody's help truly. I do not know how to do that job, and I know it's tough. And I know, Cody, you were out till what, 1 a.m? So thank you so much for that. Also, an announcement that's coming out here in the near future. Most of you have probably heard that the Federal Reserve is no longer producing pennies. This creates a problem because we all live in the matrix, and how do you handle these types of situations? Our accounting software does not have a way to import the bills and round to the nearest 5. So we have to be, I guess, mindful of how we're going to handle that. We will post this on all of our social media and in all of our locations that take cash, but our bank is no longer accepting pennies for deposit on April 1st. We cannot take pennies and then have nowhere to deposit them. Whatever comes into the city, we have to be able to account for and deposit at the bank. So what we are going to encourage is if people pay in cash, if they could just pay in nickels or higher, then they'll just carry a credit of a couple of cents month over month, in my mind. I know that Walmart and Dillon's, there's been people very frustrated with this. Brad even expressed this the other day because he felt like he was shorted 3 cents or something of that nature. It's a very frustrating situation. We're trying to find the best method to mitigate that, but we will try to be very communicative on that level, and we'll release statements. Also, we will have spring cleanup coupons available starting in March. That will run through the end of May. I know people look forward to that. There was a year or so that we weren't able to do that when we were doing accounting upgrades, but it's been very popular since then. At one point, we did it in the spring and the fall. Now we've just been doing spring, but it really helps people in the community and offset that cost and beautify the community. And Brad did touch on this, but the bus facility will have a small stall in construction, but we did choose the colors last week, and they still intend to be finished on time in August. So we are pleased with that progress and looking forward to that. And that is all I had tonight.
Okay, thank you, Scarlett. Item number 20, items from commissioners. Who wants to start?
I'll go first, and I'll go fast.
Okay.
So always thank you to all the staff for everything you do. I mean, this last week was a perfect example. Everything, even how Chief Kurt mentioned, regardless of what's happening, everything continues to move forward. You still have to, we still open City Hall, we're still taking the payments. All of our staff was still working all of Pancake Day and got even all the way up to the parade, even though no one can see during the parade. You could see that smoke actually followed the parade into town all the way to 11th Street. So thank you guys for everything you do, for the police that were out there and taking care of that. The city, I saw the city crews over there running back and forth too, picking everything up. It's amazing to see how our community comes together. And then further on, how the community came together to actually respond to the fire, whether it's farmers, our own staff, and just trying to get information out, as well as the people from Tyrone who were held in the city for just a couple hours. Luckily, they got to go home that night, but thank you for everything you do and everything that gets done. That's really all I'm gonna put on this one, so, to you, Ron.
I'll make it quick. Thanks, staff, for everything you do, fire department, police department. Yeah, it's amazing, what you guys do, and we appreciate it. And, there was something else I was gonna say, but it'll be okay.
We're keeping it short today.
So that's good for me.
I don't have a whole lot either, just thank you to the staff for all of their hard work, especially the fire department, police department. That's it.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, thank you to staff, thank you to the fire department, police department, but, how many other departments are, involved? If we hadn't had the fires, we'd have had a bunch of people out working Pancake Day, I went to everything this year because my brother was in town, he hadn't been to Pancake Day since we were like in 8th grade.
Wow.
And so he wanted to do it all. So we went to everything, and it just continues to amaze me, a community event like that where so many people get involved. So, thank you to staff, thank you to to the citizens of Liberal for making it a pretty memorable day all the way around, I guess. What a great agenda tonight. 20 items, all of them really pushing Liberal forward for the most part. And it's all good stuff. Air Products, PEC, what they're doing, Riddell Group, what we're doing with the Development Corp. Tim with IT. It's all, it's all great stuff. So thank you to staff for putting this kind of all together. I know that's an agenda this big is a lot of work. So thank you for what you do. So that's all I'll have to say. Item number 21, vouchers.
Make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $3,713,092.20.
Second.
I'm gonna give that one to Jose. I gave the first one to Jeanette. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. We're adjourned.